نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه وبعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. We will continue with our commanding and forbidding tenses for fi'l mudari, and inshallah today we are going to learn about the status of the fi'l mudari, the i'rab fi'l mudari, because learning the i'rab for fi'l mudari is very important when we are studying or when we are learning about the commanding and forbidding tense, because they are related to fi'l mudari. So it's very important that we should learn about the i'rab fi'l mudari. So let's begin, inshallah. With respect to the i'rab fi'l mudari can be seen into three forms: the normal marfu form, the light mansoob, and the lightest form, majzoom form. We have already learned that fi'l mudari, when it is marfu or the normal, in the normal condition, the default form is the marfu or the normal condition. So when fi'l mudari is normal or marfu, there is no harf affecting it. So it means it is in its default condition and there is no harf. It can be harf nasba or jazma before it that can affect the fi'l mudari. So when it is in the marfu or the normal state, the default, we can say the default state, the fi'l mudari is attached with no harf. While in the state of mansoob or in the nasab state, we can see that a fi'l mudari can be affected by a haruf an-nasba lil mudari, and we have already seen those few of the huruf that are that makes a fi'l mudari nasiba. Inshallah, we will look into them in detail as well. Then we have another state of fi'l mudari, that is the lightest state or the majzoom state. And this is the form the fi'l mudari takes when affected by a huruf jazma lil mudari. So fi'l mudari can be seen in three different forms: the normal or the marfu form, the light or the mansoob form, or the lightest, the majzoom form. This is the fi'l mudari chart for ma'loom, huwa yafalu, huma yafalani, hum yafaluna, hiya tafalu, huma tafalani, hunna yafalna. Anta tafalu, antuma tafalani, antum tafaluna, anti tafalina, antuma tafalani, antumna tafalna, ana afalu, nahnu nafalu. And alhamdulillah, I hope that all of you have memorized this chart till now. So we are going to use this chart by looking into the fi'l mudari, marfu, mansoob, and the majzoom forms. And we are inshallah going to do the i'rab in detail as well. This is a fi'l mudari ma'loom marfu chart. We know that ma'loom is when the doer is known, when the fi'l used, and we know who's the doer. The file is known. We know that that's the fi'l mudari ma'loom. So this is the fi'l mudari ma'loom marfu chart. Here we can see the visible dhammas, the noon, and here this noon niswa, fahunna, and antunna. So here we know that these are the af'al al-khamsa. We know that yafalani, tafalani, yafaluna, tafaluna, and tafalina. Ya mukhataba here, noon, and this is waw al-jama, and this is alif isnain, their doers. We know that. And fi'l mudari, ma'loom, mansoob chart, we know that we have already done how to change a fi'l mudari into mansoob form by converting the dhamma into fathas, by dropping the noon to hasfin noon. And we also know that here it is applied to the anti tafalina form as well, while the hunna and antunna versions remain the same, and this noon is not draw because this is a pronoun that shows us that the verbs are the female versions. So here, the failure madari mansoob, we can see a clear fathas and to all the huwa here and the here anta version because this is all the same. Then the ana and the nahnu version. While here for mansoob, we see the haswa noon or the dropping of the noon. Then we have al-fi'l mudari ma'loom majzoom. We know that majzoom comes from the jazm and jazm is also called as the sukoon. So we can see here in this chart for fi'l mudari ma'loom majzoom chart that the dhamma and fathas are clearly changed into the majzoom form, and we know that the majzoom form can be we have the majzoom forms when there is harf of jazm before the fi'l mudari. So here the Fi'l Madari Majzoom chart is here. You can see that the and fathas are now changed into the sukoons. You can see the sukoon here, 1, 2, 3, and the 5 sighas. هو يفعل هي تفعل أنت تفعل هي هو يفعل هي تفعل أنت تفعل أنا أفعل and نحن نفعل. While we know that the jazm form is same for the أفعال الخمسة and for هن and أنتن. That is the hasf noon, and hunna and antunna will remain the same because here we know that this is a noun. So we learned that there are 3 forms for the fi'l mudari. So we are going to learn the i'rab for fi'l mudari for marfu, mansoob, and majzoom. We'll see that when fi'l mudari is in the state of marfu or the normal state, there are 2 signs to recognize this marfu state. Either it can be dhamma or it can be subutun noon. When a fi'l mudari is light or mansoob, we can see 2 signs that can, from which we can recognize a fi'l mudari, and that is the fatha or hasfun noon. And we can see clearly in this chart fatha or the hasfun noon. Then the lightest or the majzoom form can be seen from the 3 signs, that is jazm or the sukoon, hasfun noon or hasf huruf illa. That inshallah we are going to learn as well. For the hunna and antunna versions, we know that the context will tell us that this is the marfu, majzoom and the mansoob forms. So let's start with the normal or the marfu state, and it can be seen from the 2 signs, the dhamma or the subutun noon. Dhamma or the subutun noon. So how we are going to recognize the dhamma or the subutun noon? So here, af'al sahiha. I have made 2 columns for af'al sahiha and af'al mu'talla to recognize dhamma or the subutun noon state. So here you can see for af'al sahiha, we know that we have already learned that when a fail is ending with the consonant and not with the waw or the ya or the alif maksura. So here af'al sahiha, when there is other than these af'al, the huruf illa. Here you can see yaf'alu. Here lam is the huruf harf sahiha. We know that the root letters are fa, ain, and lam. Fi'l mudari marfu, how we are going to write, we have already learned about the i'rab to write the marfu state. Fi'l mudari, we know that we are going to write the fi'l, that's fi'l mudari. We are going to write the state, that's marfu, and then we are going to write about its alama or the sign, and that is alamati raf'ihi, because it is marfu, that's raf'ihi, ad-damma az-zahira, a clear damma, that can be seen here. So yafalu fi'l mudari marfu, alamati raf'ihi ad-damma az-zahira. Fi'l mudari marfu always ends with the visible dhamma on the last root letter, and for these the sighas are huwa, hiya, anta, ana, and nahnu. And we have already seen them in these charts. Huwa, hiya, anta, and ana, and nahnu. These 5 sighas we can clearly see the dhamma. Huwa, hiya, anta, and ana, and nahnu. only when the last letter is sahih or it is not harfi illa. Then we have afal mutalla. We know that these are those afal that's and or in the middle letter or the first letter or the last letter can be a harf illa. But mostly afal mutalla when we have the last root letter as a harf illa. So here yaksha we can see the kha, sheen and ya as your root letters, and we are going to write the إعراب فعل مضارع مرفوع علامة رفعه الضمة المقدرة لتؤذر. So here when we talk about أفعال معتلة, we come across two terms لتؤذر and للثقل. So here we will inshallah learn about them as well, but remember that our فعل مضارع مرفوع form can end with a muqaddara dhamma or dhamma zahira. Dhamma zahira or dhamma muqaddara. So our fail or our fail mudari ends with a dhamma zahira when we have a fal sahiha. When our fail ends with a consonant, or we can see with the huruf sahiha. But we have a dhamma muqaddara when our fail has a fal mu'talla or a harfi illa in the end. So we'll call that a dhamma muqaddara because we cannot see that dhamma because of lituazzir, because due to the impossibility. So this refers to the impossibility of what? Impossibility of applying the dhamma visibly to this particular verb form. And inshallah we'll see that in detail, but for now just remember that we have two types of dhamma for the marfu state, dhamma al-zahira and dhamma al-muqaddara. And that is because of the reason of lituazzir, that is due to the impossibility, because we know that if you are going to put a dhamma here, then that is impossible to apply the dhamma visibly to this particular form, because it would be very difficult to pronounce it. That how we are going to pronounce that dhamma. So we understood that there is an implied dhamma. Muqaddara means implied or a hidden dhamma inside that harfi illa. And that harfi illa is a ya. Here you can see فعل مضارع مرفوع علامة رفعه الضمة المقدرة means a hidden or an implied dhamma. And that is due to the impossibility to apply the dhamma visibly to this particular verb form. Because we cannot pronounce it, there will be difficulty in the pronunciation. So فعل مضارع مرفوع when talking about أفعال معتلة always ends with the invisible or implied dhamma on the last root letter. So inshallah, we'll see لتوازن and للثقل in detail as well. So here remember for normal marfu state, we have أفعال صحيحة and أفعال معتلة. أفعال صحيحة when they do not end with the harf illa. Here you can see it's adding يفعل ends with the lam with the clear dhamma or the dhamma al-zahira. And it can be seen for huwa, hiya, anta, and ana, and nahnu versions. For afal mu'talla, we have dhamma muqaddira. And the reason it was there due to the impossibility for applying the dhamma visibly to this particular verb form. So we can say that فعل مضارع مرفوع وعلامة رفعه الضمة المقدرة لتوزع. So فعل مضارع مرفوع reasons with the invisible or implied dhamma on the last root letter. Then we have the other sign for the normal or the marfu state, that is the subutun noon. First we learn about the dhamma or the failure mudari marfu form, and now we are learning about the sign of the subutun noon for failure mudari. So how we can recognize the failure mudari? We can recognize the failure mudari by two signs. Either it will end with the dhamma or it will end with the subutun noon. So let's learn about subutun noon. Subutun noon can only be seen in the afal al-khamsa. أفعال الخمسة هي كل فعل مضارع اتصلت به ألف اثنين أو واو الجمع أو ياء مخاطبة. So when talking about a فعل مضارع, there are those فعل مضارع that are attached with the following pronouns. Either it can be alif isnain or vowel jama or ya muqatiba. They cannot come all in one verb. Either it will be alif isnain or it will be vowel jama or it will be ya muqatiba. And we have seen that in our fi'l mudari chart. Let's see it again. Here, the highlighted parts you can see huma, huma, antuma, antuma, anti, and hum and antum. So here, because these two are similar, these three are similar, combine them into one. Yafalani, tafalani, yafaluna, tafaluna, tafalina. Yafalani, tafalani, yafaluna, tafaluna, tafalina. So here's about the noon. The presence of the noon is a sign of the marfu fi'l mudari. Here you can see the subutun noon, presence of the noon, presence of the noon, subutun noon, subutun noon, tafalina, subutun noon, yafaluna, subutun noon, tafaluna, subutun noon. So marfu bi subutun noon is the second sign or the last sign of the marfu state for fi'l mudari. Here you can see in all, and it can only be present in the af'al al-khamsa. While you know that hunna and antuna versions, we have this. These are the pronouns that tell us that this is a female or the feminine version or the siga, hunna and antuna. While the other sigas have the dhamma, the other sign for fi'l mudari marfu state. So here, subutun noon, the last sign or the second sign for halat rafa, and for it can only be seen in afal al-khamsa. We can see here yaktubu, the default word that can be seen for yaktubani, taktubani, yaktubuna, taktubuna, taktibina. So here we can see that it can only be with these. We know that as we have seen that it can only be found with these pronouns alif isnain, waw jama, and ya al mukhataba. Alif isnain, waw jama, and ya al mukhataba. And this is the subutun noon for afal al khamsa. So this is just a pictorial representation of the subutun noon or afal al khamsa. And the presence of the noon or subutun noon is telling us that is these all afal al khamsa are in the state of rafa. Let's see the example now. Antuma takhlusani, antum takhlusuna, anti takhlusina. As mentioned, alif isnain, this subutun can only be seen in alif isnain, waw jama, and ya al mukhatib. Antuma takhlusani, antuma, damir musanna al mukhatib. This is mubtada. We know that this is our jumla ismiya. Here, this is mubtada, and this is our khabar. Takhlusani is fi'l mudari. At first, we need to mention the which fi'l. It is fi'l mudari. The state, because it is subutun noon, so it is marfu state. Now we are going to write about the alama, the sign. Wa alamati rafihi subutun noon, and alif isnain is our file here, right? Alif isnain is our file here, and our jumla, because we know that the verb itself is a jumla or a sentence because it gives the complete sense. So jumla takhlusani is our khabar for al-mubtada antuma. So takhlusani is fi'l mudari marfu wa alamati rafihi subutun noon. While our alif here is our file. Alif isnain is our file. Let's see the next example. Antum takhlusuna. Here we can see the vowel jama as a pronoun. Antum is damir jama muzakkar mukhatib mubtada. Takhlusuna is a fi'l mudari marfu. وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون, and واو is our vowel jama, a file. وجملة تخلصون is our khabar for the mubtada antum. Alright, so this is how we are going to write the i'rab. Then we have anti takhlusina. Anti takhlusina, anti is a damir mukhatiba mubtada. Takhlusina is fi'l mudari marfu, right? We are going to write the i'rab. وعلامة رفعه ثبوت النون ويا al-mukhatibah is our file. And jumla, because it is complete jumla, takhlusina is our khabar for the mubtada anti. And this is ama means and. As for halat nasab, inshallah we will see that فنقول في الإعراب فعل مضارع منصوب وعلامة نصبه حذف النون والف اثنين أو واو الجمع أو يا مخاطبة فاعل أو نائب فاعل. Inshallah, we'll see that in the next session. This is the breakdown of all, or this is the flow chart for alamati rafi fi'l mudari. We can see here the dhamma and the subutun nun. When we know that, we learned that for dhamma there are two conditions, dhamma zahira and dhamma al muqaddira. And there is the last sign or the second sign is the subutun nun. So alamati rafi, there are two Dhamma that can be divided into two, Dhamma Zahira and Dhamma Muqaddara. And then we have the Subut Noon. For Dhamma Zahira, we need to and or we have our fail that ends with a Sahi Akhir, that the last letter is Sahi. Alright? And we see here Yazhabu. It ends with the Ba with the clear Dhamma or Dhamma Zahira. Then we have Dhamma Muqaddara that can end with the Mut al Akhira Harfi Illa, Alif, or Ya, and that can again have two different types. لتؤذر لثقل. لثقل means here we inshallah we'll see that لتؤذر when we have the ending with alif only, and لثقل is when it ends with the waw and the ya. So Dhamma Muqaddara, because we cannot see, we have the implied or the hidden Dhamma for the Alif, Waw, and Ya, because we have the difficulty of either pronouncing it or the heaviness or the impossibility of putting the Dhammas on the last letter, because we will have the difficulty in pronouncing these words if they are written with the Dhammas on them. The Alif, Waw, and the Ya. All the huruf illa, Alif, Waw, Ya, we see a Dhamma Muqaddara or the hidden or implied Dhamma on them. Then we have the Subut Noon. We learn about that. That Subut Noon can only be seen in Afal al Khamsa, like we did Yaktubani, Taktubani, Taktubuna, Taktubina. So here we learn about Fail Mudari, the era for Fail Mudari when it is in the state of Rafa, and we learn about the signs, two basic signs, two main signs, the Dhamma and the Subut Noon, while Dhamma can be Zahira or Dhamma can be Al Muqaddara. And then we have